see. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Okay, thank you guys for coming on board this morning. Welcome to another episode of Back to the World. My brother and my sister's keeper, Sonetquity Publishing Company, Billionaires Roundtable Conference. Thank you guys for coming on board. My name is Tony, and welcome. It's hazy Thursday morning. One of the cameras is going out. We had a foggy evening. So, man, I get so burned out on these devices, man. Keep in mind, I'm old school. This shit here is turning and it's turning. It's trying to reconnect. It's the only one that's doing that. It's just popping back on right now, And I come to you guys, man, with the love that's inside my heart, man, because there are many of us. But before I go into that, let me just say this. Any comments, questions, anything that you care to share, man, hit us in the boxes down below. All right. Go to our YouTube page. It's too much little bullshit to remember. And to be quite honest with you, man, I'm getting frustrated at just coming at you, knowing that we have something that will sustain our people. And it's almost as if many of you aren't gravitating to it. Camera just went out again. And I think if I can have a great day without my devices acting up, I'd be wonderful. But when you have frustrations mounting up that you have something for the people and they're not getting it, it's somewhat frustrating. And you know what it is that you need and you're trying your best to do it. It's real frustrating. And I came home with helping my people in mind, because we always needed help. We always needed help since day one, since we were driven over here on the flotillas. We've always had a need for one another. But after we got here and after they took their feet off our necks, man, everybody ran into different sections and different places, and nobody really wanted to look out to help one another, except for those that still had a good control and embrace on their people. But you can rest assured, man, once they did civil rights, man, everybody spread it out, man. Everybody didn't care about living in the little pockets of their community and what have you. And you got guys that'll come to you and they'll be snake oil salesmen, and they're selling you all sorts of bullshit and you'll buy it. I mean, I'm just admitting it, man. I see a bunch of folk on here, man. I know the the cars they're driving aren't theirs because they don't really even know how to get in them. When it comes to opening the trunk, they're struggling to open the trunk. So if it's your car, you done kind of got through that process. They're walking through a house, man, and you're not doing shit that that the owners of this particular house would do. And all of this is based on social media. Social media definitely is the God and the devil. There's a lot of people that became very, very wealthy because of social media that would have never became wealthy in the past if they had to do it from scratch. And then there are those who become very, very wealthy in the past and finding it difficult to become wealthy with social media. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not so much looking for wealth as I am looking for the help of our people. And I use social media as a springboard or a sound box, if you will, to let our people know what's out here for them. You know what I mean? And man, you know, there are people right now, man, that I know, they're calling themselves influencers, man. They might be selling some Amazon, they might be drop shipping. Don't get me wrong. You know, people just learned about drop shipping within a few recent years. I was on drop shipping, man, back in 2002, 2003. But I was incarcerated and I couldn't take full advantage of it like I wanted to. So I'm not trying to get any accolades, any props for that, but it just goes to show you sometimes how far we are behind. And just about everybody that's on social media, just about, not everyone, they're on social media for their own benefit because they've heard that this is the new frontier. And everybody's coming here to get wealthy. Everybody's coming here to get rich. And they're not giving a shit about what's happening out to our community. They're like, if you can't get yours, then the hell with you. I got mine. You know, I saw a young guy, he's out of Atlanta, and he had a program where he was helping everybody to scale their businesses and everything, right? This is cool. And you're a multi-millionaire. And you said you moved from where you was living to move to Atlanta where more people were rich like you, so you could be amongst them. And you said you're worth anywhere now between 25 to 40 million dollars. You're worth 25 to 40 million dollars. You've made a bunch of millionaires, so you said, right? But then you're charging people $10,000 and $15,000 to help them scale their business. And most of the people that's coming to you, you know, are poor, man. And you're charging these people $10,000 and $15,000. You're making monies off of their backs, right? And chances are you might not make any of those people wealthy per se. But in turn, if you're already worth $40 million, at least help about 25 or 30 people a year and help walk them through. And you cover all the expenses. And if you're good at making them millionaires, have them in turn to teach others and teach them how to make others millionaires as well. And then you give the gift that keeps on giving. But now every day you wake up, you're looking to charge someone $10,000 or $15,000. And as I said on the podcast yesterday, if you have someone that's sitting around right now with $10,000 saved up and they're prepared to give it to you, they're already wealthy. They're already a part of the 1%. They're already a part of the 1% of the world, man, as far as wealth. The average person only have at least $1,500 in their bank account. And you'd be surprised how many don't have that. I mean, you know, Google it. And I just think that we found a way, number one, to gather all the poor people together. And then we sell them a pie in the sky. And then you tell them you can make them rich if they just follow your master class and pay them $5,000. You know, I think you'd be better off if you got 30 people, you taught them how to become millionaires, and you tell them, hey, look, we're going to sign a contract, and it can be an arbitrary contract. It can be a contract of fun. It could not even be binding. And you say, okay, when you make your first $100,000, when you make your first $100,000, you pay me $10,000. Man, you know how many people will be more than happy to do that for you after you done help them make the money? Because what you're giving information. And the more people you help, the more you're helping yourself. What happens when you run out of people that's coming to you for this? And you know, many years ago when I designed my infrastructure, when I designed my platform for my business, right? My main concern was trying to make it affordable for the masses, because there are definitely more poor people than there are rich. And people look at me and they're like, "Ah, man, that shit there sounds like a scam," or whatever the situation is. You know, it offends me. Sometimes it angers me. But more than anything, it hurts me, because I know what it is that we need. First of all the people, you see, you have many people that are poor and they don't want to be poor. Many people that are living in poverty, they don't want to be living in poverty, but they don't know what to do to get out of it. A lot of you are pitching great ideas that sounds good, and they could be very well. But the fact of the matter is, you're pricing them out of the equation. And these poor people can't afford what it is that you're offering to sell. And if you're selling information and illustration, that shit is free. All you have to do is do it. But if you're selling an apparatus or something physical, where a person would have to pay for it, for instance, to start, or like a franchise, and they have to buy the material or they have to buy the merchandise, they can't afford that. So you're losing them where you meet them. You're losing them in the very place that you've met them. You've met them at poverty, or on the threshold of poverty. So when I designed this, and I was at my lowest, but I had to accomplish something. I had to fight for my freedom. So I had to figure out what to do. And you meet poverty head on. You meet it where you first encounter it. So I'm encountering it in my incarceration. So now, not only now must I make enough money to hire attorneys or private investigators, or to be able to pay anyone that's going to do my bidding and do my research. Not only must I make enough to do that, right? I must do it from behind the prison wall. It must be fast before my appeals wear out. And it must be reasonable and inexpensive enough for them to afford doing it. And the upside is that they can make money as well. Excuse the noise. So that's how I come up with Sonetquity. And I just knew at that time, man, when I did it for myself and I was able to overcome, because, you know, all praise due to Allah, here I am. So obviously my method worked at that particular time. So I said, if it can work for me, then it can work for the masses. And I looked at how desperate our people were. Keep in mind, in 2001 or 2, 99 or 2000, you had the internet crash. You had a lot of businesses, a lot of .com businesses were crashing the whole bit. So the economy kind of went belly up. A lot of banks and everything shut down. A lot of .com companies folded as well. Okay. So then come 2008, you get a good run from 2000, about 2001 to 2008. Well, actually in 2001, the internet crashed with 9/11. So you had a crash then, right? So in 2008, you had the real estate crash. You know, the bottom fell out of the real estate industry, and you had prime lending, and all these companies were folded. But then we got back on track. So we get back on track, and now you come to today, and everything is just happening and crashing the whole nine. So, I thought about that. I thought about, what was it, the one percenters on Wall Street and everything. This is what everybody was complaining about. So now, many of us have done bad ever since. and we've never been able to get up. And I know in the past couple of days, many of you have been worried about Social Security, wondering if President Trump was going to cancel it, or cut into it, whatever the situation may be. But thankfully, he didn't do that. But it doesn't matter nonetheless, because as the economy rises, the cost of living goes up. Your checks remain the same, and now you get a check, but you can't afford to live it. You can't afford to live off of it. And what happens is, when things get really bad, many of us, man, we just give up. We give up, and we turn within, and we don't reach out. What I've always learned, man, is that it's hard by the yard, but it's a cinch by the inch. And all that really means is, man, you just move a little at a time, right? And a load can easily be handled by two, more so than better than one. You know? So, help is imperative. It's imperative that we help one another. It's imperative that we come together. But I listened to a young lady give a reel on how everything that's being done now affects us, how we're being hurt as a people, and how, economically, man, we're being suffocated the whole bit. She talks about the oppression. Man, I love everything she said from start to just about finish. Well, the way she ended it is this. We need to look outside ourselves, and we need to look within our community. We need to draw together. We need to come together. And this is the only way that we're going to sustain everything that's happening. This is the only way that we're going to survive situations that put in place to destroy us as a people. And the crazy thing is, that's where it ends. That's where all of these eloquently spoken presentations ends. Let me get to another part of it in a minute. Hold on. But you see, I don't know if this young lady has ever seen any of my podcasts or not. But I told you that you can't keep telegraphing what it is you're going to do as a people when you're trying to raise somebody's feet off your neck. Right? Because the revolution definitely will not be televised. So that means you don't go out broadcasting and telling everybody the whole bit. Now just imagine. I'm saying this now for the purpose of illustration. Let's say that the oppressor has his foot on our necks, barefooted, and they're suffocating us. And many people perish or they submit, right? But then someone finds out and figures out that all you have to do is just bend that third toe backwards. Just bend it opposite, and they'll get their foot off your neck, right? So then you run around and you tell everybody, right? You run around and you advertise it for the most part. I mean, people have to be told because you want the word to get around, but you don't want to tell. You want to tell a white man himself, hey, I know how to get your toe. I know how to get your feet off my neck. All I gotta do is bend your third toe back. But once you tell the white man that, and now he knows that you know how to get him off your neck, now he's gonna tell all his people to put on a pair of shoes. So now you can't reach that third toe I know it sounds like a stupid analogy and a stupid illustration, but you get the gist of it. So you cannot tell everything. See, because if we're in the community and we're mobilizing and we're eating and because here's the thing, right? Again, my example is barbershops, corner stores, and hair salons. Man, they don't have to worry about the economy, the state of the economy, what's going to happen a whole bit, because they have their 50 to 100 customers that's going to come to them every week. And that's the perfect example of how monies circulate throughout our community. You want to have a business or a relationship with your community until you're a part of that circulation. You're within that circumference, right? And you don't have to run and tell what's happening the whole bit, because you know what? Every Tuesday you're gonna make whatever it is you make, all the way through Saturday, because you can almost write a check yourself on who's coming to receive your services. It's just that simple. And this is what the young lady ended with, right? I watched the pastor Jamal Bryant, right? And you know, he's calling out the names of the coons and what have you, and what they are and what they should do. Okay, you know, maybe you're right. But after you get finished slinging all this hate and this putrid, vile, whatever, y'all going back and forth, then what? You're a voice for the people. Okay, you stay out there because you are confusion. We need you. We need you to confuse the white folk and make them think that the rest of us are back here doing nothing. Right? And then you get Candace Owens. You get people like her. You get everybody else. You know? And while the white folk are busy putting shits in place, man, to stop you from having a job. See, you're too busy worried about a job as opposed to you worried about earnings. Why are you mad and upset that the federal government, Walmart, or Amazon is not hiring you? You're passing up an opportunity within your community from your own personal skills that could have you earning money the way that barber and that hairstylist is earning money. It's just that simple. And I know some of you get tired of me coming on here, excuse me, telling you about the drug era and how drugs sell. Well, I'm tired of having to tell you all the time. But the way people set up a drug operation is how all businesses, all mom and pop businesses within a community should be built. Because when you sell drugs, anybody that's doing it that's smart, you build a community first. I've never understood you just get on a street corner where everybody on a busy boulevard and avenue where you just selling to any and everybody that comes along. You got guys that have gotten filthy rich like that, but shit like that don't last long. But when you have a built-in clientele, now you're operating just like that hair salon. You know what time your person's coming back to you for your next hit. You know how much they're going to be bringing, the whole 9 yards. And you can even offer some of them credit. These are the kind of opportunities that we want to give up. Because see, it's just like with the drug business. Everybody can't buy a kilo. But yet that person that can only afford a few grams or an ounce, that person may be a master salesman. Because guess what? On his Facebook page and his Instagram and his TikTok, he has a large viewing audience. Right? He has huge followers. So that's money in the makings. And now if you can get that person started either by fronting them, that's what we call it, or advancing them since it's in the business terms, or giving him a letter of credit and giving him a larger amount. and allowing him a certain period of time in which to pay it back. Now that person is going to go now and service all these people. And as a result of him servicing all those people, he has to buy more from you. So when he buys more from you, you earning more money from him, which make you have to step it up and get more product. This shit doesn't end. But there are so many of us, man, that have the wherewithal, but we just don't have the monies to start. We don't have anyone to give them the tutelage and let them know. Because a person with a huge, huge following, and every time they click on and they give a notification that they're going live, and you watch hundreds and hundreds of people, man, just rolling. And I look at the numbers, and I see, man, 2,000, 5,000 people that's watching you just because you clicked on. And then I look at what they're saying about some of you. They're enjoying it. They're saying, man, peace, thumbs up, great job. And all you're talking about is that you had a pimple and you had a hard time getting it out. And then you came up with some concoction and it came out. And people are like loving this shit. Now imagine if you was to tell many of these people that are suffering financially and they're not eating, they're not able to feed their kids. But if you had a solvable plan, a step-by-step plan that you can walk them through and show them how they can benefit, man, that's money in the bank. That's money in the bank. But I tell you how I am when it comes to survival, right? See, people were saying that our operation in the beginning was a Ponzi scheme, pyramid scheme, or what have you. And many people calling it a scam. So, you know, when the internet came and everybody was able to scam people through banks and the whole 9 yards. So at one point, being a scammer was sexy. Being a scammer was sexy. And then scammers were looking down on drug dealers. I've experienced that in prison where you had a guy that robbed banks. He was once a drug dealer and he couldn't sell drugs worth of shit. So he kept getting busted selling drugs. So he and his cousin went out and they started robbing banks, something I'd never do. Even in the process of us owning banks, I was always afraid to go into my own bank for fear of being robbed. So I know I wasn't going in to rob one. Because keep in mind, in a bank, the employees know how to get robbed. It's the customers that don't. And now they'll put you in a situation where they'll force you to hurt one of them. And that's what happened with this guy. But anyway, when I first got there, he was there on a drug charge. So he paroled out. He made it out, right? So a few years later, maybe about 8 years later, he was back. Okay? And when he came back, you know, he came back with some stories, came back with some life lived. You know, he had traveled, bought a home, driving nice cars, wearing nice clothes, and the whole bit, because that's, you know, that's what he talked about. We were talking about building and trying to get out of prison. We was talking about, you know, different things like that. But he would always come in with his pictures and the things that he had done, because he had really kind of made it. And come to find out, he did it all through robbing banks. So whenever he would get in a circle, if he's in a circle of 10 people, man, 9 of them were drug dealers at that particular time. You had a couple other guys that were there for having guns and that type of shit, right? So he had a disdain for drug dealers. He said, man, you know, y'all, drug dealers are like the scum of the earth. And he didn't say it to no one in particular. He just threw it out there. He was saying that, you know, selling drugs, man, is a sucker game. That's why so many of y'all get caught in this, that, and the third. But now here you are for a bank robbery. And mind you, you killed someone by accident, right? You know, the guy jumped up and was wrestling with you for the gun. And you shot and killed him. So, you know, now, and like I said, you get situations, then you had guys starting to come to prison because they knew how to hack into bank accounts and everything. So they were looking down on drug dealers as well. Well, now today, man, if you talk about the city of Houston, city of Atlanta, New York, and L.A., you got little young guys, man, making so much money from scamming the whole bit. Well, now a scammer gets a bad name. So it's like you hate anybody that's going to be making money the whole bit, right? But yet when you start making money like that, you don't want to help those that are younger than you or not as skilled as you or not as wealthy as you, the whole bit. What I'm saying is, with all of these hustles and everything, I'm not saying do those hustles, but you can bring people in, man, to help them better their lives. And if you're going to do the hustle, do it. Make enough money to start a business. Make enough money to where it's like that guy want to pay $10,000 for this guy to help him start a business. I say don't do it, but, you know, if he's sincerely interested in that business and he feel it'll work, if y'all pulling off crimes doing your thing, man, earmark it for however much you're going to make, $10,000. Then go do that shit. Then get legit. But pay that shit forward. Pay it forward. You don't just get it and keep on doing it the whole nine. So as I said, you know, it's like, and here, and you know, I'm gonna put myself in this position. I'm gonna put myself in this equation, right? I know there's many of us that have gotten out of prison that used to be, quote unquote, kingpins and what have you. And you know, when you've done a lot of time, first of all, when you've done a lot of time for making a lot of money, and you still remember that, and unlike most of my other counterparts, many of them, I didn't have a date. So I had to compartmentalize, and I had to focus on fighting my case and getting free. But I was always a free thinker, and I always multitasked. You don't have to multitask in your actions. You can multitask in your thinking. So I multitasked in my thinking, and I fought my case, but I also figure out I'm going to build a business to help my people once I'm free. So I thought that way as well. So many of my guys, man, they had a date. So a lot of those guys, when they got in prison, man, they gambled. They still had money on the streets or whatever. They gambled. They tried to show the institution, you know, how they were living. They wanted to be shot callers inside like they were on the outside. So they didn't worry about going to the library because they had a plea. And then those that didn't have a plea, they just didn't care. And they would get somebody, they'll pay somebody to do their legal work, man, and a guy just filing some frivolous bullshit. So now, when most of us come home, we think that things are going to be the same way they were before we left. And we're not just so much talking about the young guys running the streets or whatever. Just about everything has changed, man. Telephones, the lack thereof, automobiles, TVs, man, with Wi-Fi, everything has changed, right? So a lot of guys that I know, man, a lot of my contemporaries, they're really having trouble adjusting when they come home. And everybody's looking to do the same thing. Start a trucking company or whatever the situation may be. And nothing's wrong with that. But everybody's doing it and they're jumping in it in a saturated area. Right? Many of my other younger brothers, man, not younger brothers, many of my other counterparts, they've gone out and they've become community activists and leaders in their community. And they've started all type of non-profit groups and organizations. Now keep in mind, I'm in that arena to a degree, but I'm an introvert. I was the worst person starting out the gate to be a public speaker for a group of other people. So when you have guys that were in gangs, in organizations and what have you, you already have a platform. See, I didn't have a platform. I was more or less independent. I operated within the framework of maybe 7 or 8 other guys. You know, I may have done that. And we may have called each other up on a weekend and hung out and partied together, traveled to Vegas, LA, New York, Atlanta, Miami together. But other than that, we were independent. But we were a community because we relied on each other to circulate our monies and make money in the whole bit. We made money together, but that was pretty much it. So now I use this example, right? Many of us, including myself, we had grandiose ideas of coming home and putting it back together. Not so much the drugs, but we felt that if we could succeed in a drug business, then we can succeed at any business. And that's what my book is all about. Business, always personal. It's about transitioning from illegal business to legal business and the whole bit. And then it becomes just a situation of transitioning just to survive and just to eat. And I'll be the first to tell you, I seek therapy now because it's been difficult for me. And the reason being, I thought with the plan that I had the first fight to come home and win. I did. I had success with a business model inside the prison. So I figured I could bring that same business model outside because why? It would help us as a community. It would help us as a people. And I thought people was just going to flock to it. I thought they was going to run to it like everybody ran to watch the Super Bowl for Kendrick Lamar. I thought everybody was going to run to it that way. But my timing was somewhat bad because the economy had crashed and people were looking to sustain, so people were doing the blessing circles, as I said. And then they started abusing the blessing circles. But lo and behold, when I come home, I have a business that's designed similar to a blessing circle. And now you have people that are practically starving. But when you tell them that this is something that you can earn money and you can eat, they say, oh no, that shit is a Ponzi scheme. You had a person that would rather go out there, climb up under a car and steal a catalytic converter than to do something, anything that could possibly make them money, and they could not even go to jail. But they can just keep on doing it. But now it's like you're walking into a shoe store and you're trying to decide, you know, which pair I want when they all are too tight. But here's a pair that's on the end that'll fit you, but they're not one that's going to fit all occasions. Right now, you just want to put a pair of shoes on to protect your feet, man. Stop trying to be choicy, gang. So when you can do a network marketing business or a multi-level marketing company, if it's a good product or whatever the situation may be, man, get involved. And I tell you, this is how I think. It has to be a kitchen before it's a hanging. So if I got to choose my crimes, and if I can get involved with network marketing, and network marketing really is a legitimate business, you just have to get with a company that got a good product. But if you can get in that business and make a couple of $100,000 before they wake up and realize that maybe this ain't right, well, now you're 100,000, 200,000, $1 million to the good. But let me share this with you. They have not shut down General Motors. They have not shut down Toyota. They have not shut down Ford. They have not shut down Avon. They have not shut down Amway. They have not shut down DirecTV. Just about any and every business that you know is done from a multi-level perspective and standpoint. Just about every business. All you have to do is just study the infrastructure. And what usually runs these businesses out of business is that you run out of customers and you run out of sales. You run out of salespeople, out of potential clients. But let me show you. And I found a remedy to that. If all the people that you sign up in your downline, and then everyone in their downline, and everyone in their downline, so on and so forth, if they pay their membership fees every month, and if they continue to buy the product, all you want to do is to make enough money from your downline that will allow you to pay your monthly membership fees to keep you active, and then money to put in your bank account for you to sustain. Then you're all good. So now, just think of it like this: everyone that you signed up, you're the barber, and everyone that you sign up is your customer, is your client. And every week they're coming back to you to get their hair done, their nails, or whatever. Every last one of your people now are paying their monthly membership. You guys are going to be in business for a long time. Look how long Avon and Amway been around. Tupperware, Fuller Brush, all these businesses. All you do is follow their examples. So I thought that our poor people in all of our communities was going to just run to this, man. But I was wrong in that respect. I underestimated, or I overestimated in that respect. And I overestimated. So now we're trying to figure out how to get back on track. And so now, here we are again with a crisis. So the time is right for this type of business. The time is right for us to mobilize, to immobilize, and to enable one another. Now's the time for us to join and move forward and help each other, help lift one. I look at me, Freeway Ricky, even Big Meech and his brother Terry right now. But Meech, see, my situation never was like Freeway Ricky, like BMF, any of that, because these guys had a lot of notoriety. As I told you, see, I was working from a deficit because I was an introvert, so nobody knew my stories. But I look at the brother Unique Mecca and the whole bit. He got his podcast going the whole bit. And, he's eating off of that. So, but I can almost guarantee you he's not making a whole lot of money, because if he were, he'd be doing something else. And he'd be talking about it. I look at a lot of guys that were labeled kingpins, and we've gotten out. So now people are under the impression that y'all niggas ran a major drug operation where y'all was doing $1 million a week in some instances, and now you can't start a business where you can make damn near $1,000 a month. And there's a lot of truth to that, because see, but here's the thing for me though. As long as I can think and as long as I can speak, man, I'm gonna be throwing it against the wall all day long. But I came home with a plan. I came home with a different plan. The plan wasn't just just for me to make it for myself. I took on the burdens of all the impoverished and underserved communities in the United States, and I'm still sticking with that. But I tell you where the problem came in. Transitioning, I came home first of all during the pandemic. Then I came home to no monies. I came home to no one looking to give me a bag. The people that I trusted and relied on to give me a bag passed away because of COVID. And then I had a few people lie to me here and there, but we all got lied to, right? So I came home to literally nothing. But I know I always wanted to start a podcast long before podcasts were cool to guys in prison and on the ends. But I was dealing with and reading about podcasts while I was incarcerated. I knew more about social media and the internet than most people that were free. They didn't know about drop shipping. They didn't know about on-demand publishing. They didn't know about any of these things, right? They didn't know about monetization. But now by the time I came home, keep in mind, by the time I was released from this time capsule, the rest of the world had not only caught up, it passed me up. So now I gotta catch up. Not in theory, because I was ahead in theory. Now I gotta catch up in actual, not virtual. I gotta catch up in real time now. And that was difficult, because now when I come home with a handicap too, right? My vision, and the fact that now I gotta find a place for me to live. Right? Then, because of my age, I realized that there are certain jobs that I couldn't do. I was too old. But even if I could do it, I wasn't allowed to make a certain amount. I was only allowed to make a certain amount of money because of my Social Security. And not every place was willing to pay me under the table, right? Good morning, Pat. Not many businesses were willing to pay an old man at that time, the age of 65. They weren't willing to pay an old man under the table. And now keep in mind, a lot of things that was needed to be done on the computer, I can't see that well. And then when you're dealing with PTSD, because keep in mind, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. I served 23 years flat on 4 life sentences, right? Now, let me show you how the mind has to work. Let me show you how you have to juggle all these feelings, all these emotions, right? With 4 life sentences, you're pretty much doomed, and you think that you're just gone if you don't have the faith and the wealth and the wherewithal. So now, in order to do 4 life sentences, then you have to have faith to believe that you're not going to do this. So that has to come from somewhere. And every day you have to keep that up. You have to keep that up while living those 4 life sentences, because now you're in prison. So you have to survive in there on a daily basis as well. You have to finagle, you have to maneuver, you have to slide, right? And you have to keep everybody out of your business as you stay out of theirs. You have to keep your eyes open and your head on a swivel to see who's trying to size you up to rob you or whatever the situation may be. Try to punk you as well. So you got to do all that shit at the same time. You're trying to get these 4 life sentences up off your ass. You can't, it doesn't make sense, but you still do it because people on death row still playing for their freedom. So now I got 4 life sentences, and I'm planning on starting a business for my people once I come home. I even sent the plan out and made a great deal of money because the timing was right for that particular business. Now you're trying to maintain relationships with people that you know in order to keep them there to do your bidding. It becomes a situation of what can you do for them. So I was in a position where I wasn't really able to do a whole lot for them, right? So after a while, many people come and go. They're here today, gone tomorrow. And then you're on to the next, on to the next. So I had to juggle all these different things and try to focus and try to survive and try to maintain a relationship with my family at the same time. So it was never any rest. The only peace I had was in prayer, right? So then when I finally get clemency, I'm ordered to serve another 2 years. So now I'm serving those 2 years knowing that I'm going to go home at a certain time. So now I have to accelerate. I have to get my shit together within that 2-year period while they're sending me to an institution with a lower custody. And the mind frame of the inmates are totally different. Something I had never experienced before. Now I'm on a compound with a bunch of known rats. A bunch of people that ratted that everybody know, and I'm not used to that. Everybody snitching on people behind their backs on little things. Motherfucker telling you if you got too many pillows and that type of shit. And then there's a lot of disrespect because they know that unless you push a man to the brink and he doesn't care the fact that he's going home, and he'll stab someone up and kill him at a lower custody, and now you got a life sentence again. So I had to stay out of the way of that. You know, I had guys poking at me, jigging at me and shit. What I mean by that is, you know, trying to get you involved in miscellaneous conversations that had no validity. I experienced that. But now, the hardest time I did was those last 2 years. And then you kick me out. I can't get a job because I'm right on the brink now of Social Security. Then with some of the places that I want to work, that I wouldn't mind working, I'm too old. I'm not too proud to say that, you know, I was a kingpin making millions and millions of dollars a month to someone that couldn't even get a job or didn't want to sign up for a job. But I'm 65. I wasn't going to McDonald's. I wasn't going to Walmart and be a greeter. But then there's a lot of other things that, you know, be a truck driver, the whole nine. I'm on the road a lot, driving. I tell you again, I'm suffering from PTSD. Every time I get in the vehicle, I gotta say a prayer, you know. And there are some days, man, I just refuse to drive because on that particular day I woke up, I didn't feel like it. So if I had to drive every day for a living, I don't think I could do it. I don't. So that's a job that I refuse to take. But that seems to be the only ones that a guy at 65 years old can go out and get the whole bit. But then you gotta drive for damn near the rest of your life. I'm on the shady side of the mountains, ladies and gentlemen. I got more days behind me than I have before me. You see? So like I said, me and a lot of guys that have been known as kingpins, the whole bit, all of us aren't doing well, man. You just had Rayford got out, he died, man. All these guys were superstars to a degree because they were well known. And then, you know, I'm so committed to our people and everything But I'm so committed to what it is I'm trying to do. But I could see the bullshit a mile away. And I could see that I did not have anything to offer our youth. So I couldn't take money from the churches to go on a speaking circuit just to lie to the kids and tell them, hey, just get out of the street, get a job. When they were taking care of their families, doing whatever they were doing, hustling. You know? It's dog eat dog. But for all of my hustlers, all of my leaders out there, man, all the guys that are struggling that were kingpins, man, and now, and see, some of the young people, man, you feel that they don't respect you the whole bit. Not so much so. They respect you. They respect what you did. And that's why they came out and they stepped their game up and they feel that they're better than you now. Because you were the benchmark. That's a form of appreciation and kudos. I know it doesn't look like it. And you think that I'm talking in circles. But they're young guys, man, they're looking as though they're shitting on you because they're saying, hey, I'm better than you now. I'm better. See, you gave them a template. You gave them somewhere to start. With the examples that you presented, that you projected, you gave them a benchmark. No matter how negative it may have been. I'm talking about maybe driving a bunch of expensive cars, being seen with a bunch of women wearing the best of clothes and jewelry. It wasn't the best example, but it was your example. On my post this morning, I stated that, be deliberate in what you do, because you don't know who's watching. And you can't control what they will remember, and you definitely can't control what they perceive. So be on your A game at all times. And many of us don't think about that, but that's something that must be done, because you don't know that little kid that's always watching you. Many, many years later, when you fall on hard times, it's going to be that little kid, whether he has a job in a bank, whether he owns a bank, or whether he's the biggest drug dealer or mobster in your community. He's going to remember you, because he may have aspired to be like you in some way. So if you were ruthless and you was doing a lot of bullshit, then that's what he gravitated to. If you did a lot of positive things and you gave to the community or whatever the situation was, then that would be the things that he would remember. So always be mindful of how you put yourself on display. Again, before I go, ladies and gentlemen, go to our website and purchase your Patana oil, 100% raw, from Honduras. Okay? Again, let me show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like when it's 100% pure. Okay? That's what it looks like. Man, it's phenomenal. It grows your hair. If you have scaly, dry skin, it softens it, it heals it. If you have BBL, with BBL marks and stretch marks and what have you, it smooths those out and it brings your skin back to its tone. Alright? 100% natural, ladies and gentlemen. Go to our site at www.glowsuds.com. That's Glow Suds with 2 O's. Gloo Suds. Alright? And purchase your Patana oil today. We have it for the beard, we have it for the skin, we have it for the hair. Go to our website and purchase your book. We are a black business. This is the month of February, and we're acknowledging and embracing the month of February as being Black History Month. Every day is Black History. Forget the day, forget the month, forget the year. We are Black History Life. Purchase your book from us at www.bookshop.org/shop/Sonetquity. If we can get our entire community on shopping with us and buying with us, and we're circulating monies back into the community, We're helping everyone in the community to make money because that's where it starts. And when everyone in the community, imagine this, you have 50 people, 200 people in your community, and you're helping each and every one of these people now earn at least $20,000 a month. And if you've asked every last one of those people that you've helped earn $20,000 a month, if you ask them and you present it properly to them to invest $2,000 a month so we can contribute to the helping of other people that's having hard times in that community, we will have now a pot for them. That's number one. Number two, in all the other communities around the United States like yours, everybody's donating $2,000 a month. And now you have monies to donate to the HBCUs, to the black college funds. You don't have to ask the government to do that. Now you have an investment branch that you build. And you will name that investment branch whatever your community name is, and you will give it an LLC. And you will have somebody that's viable and recommended and responsible to manage and run those funds for you. And now you can start that as a non-profit, the whole bit. And now whenever any houses in that community would become blighted, or the people are getting ready to lose it, or the owners may have passed away, now that community as a corporation can now purchase that home. You can purchase that apartment complex. You can rent now to the needy and the impoverished. And at least you have enough food to feed them. Now you can start other small businesses and hire these people in the community. You can give college scholarships to kids within the community. Everybody don't have to be a D1 athlete or a D2 athlete or whatever, right? A kid could just be a good kid, never gotten into any trouble, and they were always anywhere between a C and a B average. But their parents can't afford to send them to college. And now you have a pot in which everybody in the community has poured into. And you can take X amount of dollars and send that kid to college. That's all you have to do. Somebody take me up on the challenge, man. Take me up to the task to see if I know what I'm talking about, and to see if our plan will work. Give us that opportunity. Give me just that much deference. And if I can get all of my old hustlers, all of my old ex-kingpins, man, to come on board, man, with your influence, whatever it may be, we will put all this together, man, and we will help enrich and build on each and every one of our communities in this United States. See, when the powers that be, the politicians and most of the white folk that want to see you oppressed, when they're not hearing from you, when they're not hearing you talking about doing this, and you're not advertising, they're wondering what it is that you're doing now. And believe me, more people will do for you after seeing you do for yourself. The government is that way. When you don't need them, here they come. And now you won't have to worry about redlining, because now each and every one of the communities with all of our people earning at least $20,000 a month, now our communities can look like Beverly Hills, Miami Beach, Malibu, California, New York, River Oaks, Texas. That's how we can build our communities up. That's how they did it. That's how they did it. What makes us any different? Sonetquity, ladies and gentlemen, is the answer. Sonetquity is the solution. Take us up on it. If we all build by one brick at a time, man, you'll be surprised what we'll come up with. Thank you guys for joining me. It's just about that time. And Throwback Thursday, y'all. Throwback Thursday. Tell a friend to tell a friend. DM me, inbox me to learn more about Sonetquity, about our drop shipping program, and about our Botana oil drop shipping and affiliate program. All right? Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.